Hey there folks, how you doing today? Right, what I want to talk about is, I want to talk about illegitimate governments. And I want to talk about the state of our country right now, and the state of global geopolitics right now. We now have a completely undemocratically positioned government. In 2015, in the general election, 66% of the electorate voted, and 30% of the electorate voted Conservative. There was no landslide victory for the Tories in 2015. We got a Tory government by hook or crook, by default, by fraud, by underhandedness, because they were positioned there by the markets, they were positioned there by corporations. And now what we have is, although some people did actually vote for the Conservative government, David Cameron's government in 2015, we now have Theresa May's government, completely completely illegitimate government. And it kind of terrifies me, and it should terrify you, because, we're living in exceptionally dark times, As I've said before, fascism is really, really, really creeping in. We've got these great social movements happening, in the States and here in the UK. But at the same time as these social movements happening, as a response, all these draconian and reactionary measures are being passed and slipped right through. Corporation tax is now 14%. Did you know that? That happened in the wake of the general election. The European referendum. George Osborne floated the country, or got the Bank of England to float us an extra 250 billion on the Monday after the referendum. We'll be paying that back for years. We're already living in a complete debt culture, and it utterly terrifies me that we have Theresa May as our Prime Minister now. She herself, it's like, may the 4th be with you. Maybe she will, but the reality is she will. She's already talking about deporting European nationals. We can't. You can't expect to live everywhere forever, can you? She literally said that in a paraphrase. But her husband is a major shareholder in G4S. Now, if you don't know who G4S are, maybe when you're out driving or going about the town, or you're out for a little drive or something, you'll notice G4S vans going all about. They transport prisoners. That's just one of the things that they do. They also run detention centres for refugees, quite exploitative and terrible detention centres. They also paid paid very little in corporation tax. You and I have to pay through the nose for our tax. 20%. As I say, corporation tax is now at 14%. It's the lowest of anywhere in the world. But nobody is talking about these things. And the other thing that we're not talking about is the coup that's happening within the Labour Party. Essentially you've got two Labour parties. You've got the Parliamentary Labour Party, and you've got what Jeremy Corbyn is. He's been placed there by members of the public, by members of the Labour Party. And that's what the conflict is. But you also, within the Labour Party, you have a very, 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 very powerful lobbyist group that is never mentioned, and it's called the Labour Friends of Israel. And they are very much behind ensuring that the boycott, divest sanctions movement against Israel is sabotaged. Now we have Theresa May, as I say, whose husband is directly linked. But so what? Her husband is directly linked. These people are all affiliated. It's all backhanders. We live in a very corrupt society. The corruption that exists. Corruption is supposed to be a deviation from a normal practice. As I've noted before, we don't have corruption anymore because the normal practice is the corruption. And these things utterly terrify me, but what are we supposed to do about it? What are we supposed to do about it? Well, we need to act within the law in certain instances, and we need to use the system to benefit us, to move forward. So I joined the Labour Party so that I'm able to take part in the, hopefully take part if in the leadership election in September if I've not been barred from voting because of my social media content or because I'm just a new member. So this is the situation we're living in. We're living in a corrupt society, and you and I, we try to live our lives, we try to get by, we've got to pay for a roof over our head, we've got to feed ourselves, we've got to clothe ourselves, and we've got to exist. And while we're attempting to exist and expending a massive amount of energy, whether that's in interpersonal relationships or whether that's just, as I say, maintaining your existence, all these terrible things are happening. There is an acceleration of corporate fascist politics. And, it's not something new. It's been happening for years and years and years. And we need to understand that it's not about people. I'm talking about Theresa May here, but it's not Theresa May within herself. You change the name, but the game is still the same. Neoliberal fascism is not going to go away regardless of who we have in power. If the Parliamentary Labour Party get a candidate, they will kowtow to corporations just as much as the Conservatives will and do. So essentially what we have now is a government that has been placed by the city and has been placed by corporations to benefit their interests, not the interests of the citizen, not me and you, not everybody else around. So, illegitimate governments. It's a terrible situation, and we're sleepwalking into this fascism, and we're not even aware. And because the information that we get about things is so convoluted. If you think about what happened in Nazi Germany in the 1940s, we reference the SS and we reference Adolf Hitler specifically. It was Hitler that caused fascism. But fascism is a direct manifestation of capitalism. And it's not some weird aberration caused by a personality. Although a personality can help push it forward, the essence is created by the capitalist system of oppression that we live within. And we need to learn to understand that. We live in a very small island. 100 people could bring the country to standstill. Well-positioned, well-meaning people could bring the country to the standstill. Infrastructure. I'm here up in Scotland, and there's one main road, the A9, and the A9 only came into existence. The A9 destroyed communities all along its path, but the A9 only came into existence to transport oil from Aberdeen down to Glasgow, and then from Glasgow down to London, Edinburgh, blah blah blah. It only takes one person to stop a road. We all know the image of the guy in Tiananmen Square standing in front of the tanks. We all have seen these images. One person can bring a road to a standstill. One person can bring a marching army to a standstill. So 100 well-positioned people could take out or bring the infrastructures of our government to halt. And that's what we need to do. These people are not going to voluntarily change their minds. Getting out in the street and marching and protest is valuable. Non-violent protest is a valid part of what we're trying to achieve, to help us achieve our goals. But the reality is, going on a march on a Saturday is not going to change anything. You're completely and utterly deluded if you think it is. If you think Theresa May is going to look out the window and see you marching past 10 Downing Street and think, well, actually the interests that I'm supporting, G4S, the Labour Friends of Israel, the Conservative Friends of Israel, these people that I'm supporting, the corporations, Circle, Rio Tinto, the list goes on and on and on and on. She is not going to change her mind. They're not going to be persuaded nicely. It's no point, I read something recently, there's no point in us trying to awaken the inner child of a CEO, because that CEO will loose the dogs on your children in real time, in reality, to ensure the interests of his corporation are maintained. People don't even understand that corporations have more rights than you or I. The Americans have been writing corporation rights into the Constitution since before Bram Stoker's Dracula was written. This is how long this has been going on. And as long as we're confused by personality politics, it will continue to happen. You need to make a stand. You need to understand that it's for the benefit of you, it's the benefit of your children, it's the benefit of your friends, it's the benefit of your family and those around you, your communities. It's time to make a stand. I would suggest getting involved with Labour. I would suggest just purely for Jeremy Corbyn. Purely for Jeremy Corbyn. If you have an ability to be able to get involved in the leadership election with him, do so. Do not listen to the lies that you're being told about the Conservative Party. We are being sleepwalking into fascism. We're sleepwalking into a one-party state. Whether that's going to be directly maintained by the Conservative Party or whether it's going to be maintained by a UKIP spin-off in 2020, we do not know. But it's coming. And that is what we're moving toward. And that is the reality of the world that we are living in.